The crosswalk. You can hear me? I see you hands waving. My name is Rick Edwards. Just going to help run down some information on what the parade's all about, covering the eras, information about what happened in each of the 1909 to 1919, all the early World War I, World War II eras, the roaring 70s and the 60s. Today we are going to have some more events after the parade, 11 o'clock. 11:15 actually. There's going to be lunch at 3 o'clock. And if you haven't been in Franklin for a while and you'd like a tour, we're going to have student-led tours from 11:30 till 1 o'clock. All you have to do is go to the office and there'll be somebody there to help you, give you a tour, and you'll get a sneak peek at the art walk, which is later today at 3:30 to 5:30. And some of that artwork is already on display today.
More than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Here is Mayor Mary Verner of the Lilac City riding in Camille Haskins' red Mercedes compressor. Camille graduated from Franklin in 1963 and she lived on 17th Avenue. And her brothers all attended Franklin. And we are honored to have Mayor Verner celebrate this great school and this great city. Thank you, Mayor Verner, for being part of our 100-year celebration here at Franklin School. We now have our current principal, Mrs. Hanson, in her third year, and two former principals, Mrs. Sonia Alt from 1997 through 2002, and Mr. Mike Cosgrove from 1994 through 1997. Thank you for being part of the parade. Mrs. Jordan's class, 1909 through 1919, the transportation revolution. Automobiles became the mode of transportation with the advent of the Model T. The possibility of flight became a reality then. Thank you, Mrs. Jordan's class. Next one, Mrs. Gadot, 1919 to Gadot. Sorry, 1919 to 1929, the Roaring 20s. The 20s were a time of fun and experimentation with how music, new dances, and new rights for women with the record financial crash at the end of the era. Thank you, Mrs. Gadow's class. Mrs. Williamson, 6th grade, representing the 30s. In the 30s, the economy was in dire straits. Farmers struggled to eke out a living. The threats of war made life uncertain. Radio, movies, and other entertainment helped make life a little better in the 30s. The 6th grade students, you'll notice, are holding posters with various interesting facts representing the 1930s. Some of those facts include the Great Depression, the Dust Bowl, famous musicians and sports figures, inventions, and entertainment. Thank you, Mrs. Williamson's 6th grade class. The Scooters. They are Mrs. Jones, Mrs. Robinson. They are their own scooters. They're very popular, especially with the high gas prices of today, in Europe, they are the main mode of transportation in Europe.
I'm trying to find it.
Okay, here comes the 40s.
The 40s.
Mrs. Ferrante, 5th grade, this era is reminiscent of our country's sacrifice for the war efforts and pride and patriotism felt by all during and after World War II. There's a walking timeline in their parade route that includes Pearl Harbor 1941, D-Day 1944, and the end of World War II in 1944. There's also a sign with a famous quote from President Franklin Roosevelt about December 7th, 1941. It says, "A date which will live in infamy." The float is titled "Stars and Stripes Forever." Music from the 40s, featured artists from the time. Students made their own hats reflecting pride in our country using red, white, and blue. And after studying this time in the 40s, the majority of the students in the class decided that they would prefer living in the 1940s. They thought they would exercise more, be more healthy, have more adventures. Instead of texting and using electronics, they would write, talk, and play games. Mrs. Yake and Mrs. Danica's class rocking through the 50s. Notice the poodle skirts, bobby socks, blue jeans, white t-shirts, hula hoops, and slinkies, all popular in the 1950s and for some today.
Looking like the fawn.
At 1:30 today, there will be keynote speakers. Today you will have fond memories of Franklin with Doug Clark. He was here in 1964. Also, Tales of 50 Years Ago with Wendy Hinkle from 1963. There will also be music from the Franklin Choir. There'll be music from Daniel Nossoff, a violin soloist. Also a trumpet duet performed by Trung Nguyen and Kelly Ann Kubley. And also an Italian carousel by Mike Hanikel. That's all at 1:30 today as we celebrate more of this 100 years of Franklin, the Centennial today.